So, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Meet Praneeth. So, today we have a very special guest with us, Avalon. Welcome to the channel. And if you can take a few seconds and introduce yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
Certainly. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Avalon Paul. I'm an immigration attorney with Manifest Law. I've been practicing for over 10 years, and I'm happy to discuss all of the latest updates with the employment-based visa H-1B category. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Avalon. Yeah, I think to start with, last weekend was kind of full of chaos. I think where people were trying to wind down from their work and get into a little bit of weekend, there was this news that a proclamation has been signed where certain visas have been restricted, specifically focusing on H-1B, which is kind of used by a lot of immigrants to work here in the United States. So, what's your thought on the proclamation so far, the details, anything that you think could be very valuable to learn from it?
Absolutely. So, as you and your viewers are probably aware, the H-1B visa category has always been in the news. People always have discussed it, especially because of this is a specialty occupation visa, and people really want to know more so about the visa and how is it taking jobs from individuals. Like there's always been this question surrounding the visa category. And so the latest proclamation that came from the current administration, the government's focus is really for enforcement. And, they have a certain priority that when it comes to immigration, they want to really help bring some jobs back to America and focus on American workers. And so this proclamation, I believe, is one of those, one thing that the government is using to really enforce or bring that about.
Mm. And I think that kind of created a lot of panic because there was a lot of things which were in gray areas, specifically how does this fees apply, and then does it apply to current visa holders or it applies to only new ones? So I think a lot of people who were traveling had to come back, and then there were a lot of emails sent by big techs, and I think I have friends in academia who also got these emails saying that do not travel or come back by 21st to make sure that you're within the country. And I think following up on that, USCIS came up with a memorandum on Sunday, 9/21. So, and that kind of cleared a little bit of the air, which was around this. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what we have learned so far from that memorandum?
Absolutely. So, as you rightfully stated, things came out very quickly, and because people were unaware of the details and exactly what it meant, there were questions, there was confusion, there were people, who didn't really they didn't know what to do or what to make of this. And so thankfully, the USAS memorandum did come out, and gave some answers. And I think with this memorandum now, people should feel a little more relaxed and a little more calm that, the proclamation really only prospectively applies to petitions that have not yet been filed. And so I know I saw people were on the airplane, and should I get off, should I not get off? And there was people there, they were in this heightened situation where they didn't know what to do. But now we have some guidance, and now we are better positioned and better equipped to handle changes that as they come forward. It is an evolving scenario, and we're prepared to answer and deal with questions as they come up.
Right. And I think because, as you mentioned, that cleared a lot of air, and then as we have more understanding of how it probably would apply, there's still a lot of questions around it, right? Because
Yeah.
not all things have been clarified. So the first thing I want to touch upon is because we have two classes of H-1B. We have cap exempt, which is used by a lot of non-profit organizations to file H-1Bs, and they can be filed any time of the year. And then there is a non-exempt, which is through a lottery system, which happens every year in March, and then subsequently starts on October. So I think for this year, we already know who got the H-1B, and the filings for the lottery system are done. But for the cap exempt category, where you can file any time of the year, how does this play out? So the institutions would have to pay this fees to file any new applications starting 9/2022. Sorry, September 22.
So we are anticipating that these employers will have to also pay the fee as well. As you know, it is a one-time fee for the applications, and so we are anticipating that. But things are still in flux, and things are now still constantly being developed. And so but this is what we are expecting: the
Yeah.
final memorandums and additional memorandums that will come from USCIS to indicate.
Right. So there is no leniency towards nonprofits right now. It's everything is on the same scale as of now.
As of right now, that's what we are expecting and anticipating. Yes.
And there was also this because I we kind of read through the proclamation, and there's this idea of national interest, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
I think it seems that if someone is hiring a person from outside of United States to work, who will be involved in the work which is of national interest or helps with the U.S. interests, then that could be looked away from this proclamation. So how does that play out? Do you think there is enough information right now on how it will play out, or do you think we need to sit down and kind of wait for that to clarify a bit more?
I think we should wait. There has been some discussion about these individuals who would fall into this national interest category, such as doctors. And so there has even been some chatter around doctors maybe being exempt from having to pay this additional $100,000 fee. However, as of right now, we're still waiting for a definitive answer from the government and USCIS as to exactly who would fall under this category, and also what categories are included in this national interest waiver section. So we're
Right.
still waiting. It's a developing situation.
Right. That makes complete sense. And I think one thing that USCIS did clear is this is a one-time fee. So, because earlier it was a confusion that you have to
Yeah.
pay this every year, and that would have been a lot of money, right? So, if it's a one-time fee, then the question that I was thinking about, because talking to my friends and others who are on H-1B, and we were discussing this, that how does this fee would be applied? For example, let's say if a tech company or a research institute files an H-1B for me, or for John Doe in this case. Let's start with that. And let's say that person, the filing process is like, first you file the information with H-1B, with USCIS, sorry, and they have to approve it, right? So would the fees apply only if it's approved petition, or would it has to be sent away any case, and then USCIS starts reviewing your petition?
That's a very good question, especially when it comes to companies and even startup companies when they're anticipating who they can petition for and how many employees they could potentially file a petition for. And right now, we are expecting and anticipating this $100,000 fee to be counted as part of the filing fees that would be due at the time the petition is submitted. We're expecting it to for that to be the case. However, as I said earlier, we're still waiting for things to come to be finalized. But I think many employers should expect and anticipate that this is how the fee will be utilized.
Okay, so you have to submit that fees probably along with the petition that you filed with USCIS. That's what
Right. All the verbiage has come out that or is indicating that it's going to be similar to a filing fee. And
Mhm.
of course, the filing fee that is due at the time the petition is being filed.
Yeah,
And so if we're going to treat this as a filing fee, then we should anticipate or expect to have to submit that with the additional filing fees at the time of submission.
right, right. So I think this is something that I think people should understand, that this might not just apply after approval; it might apply for any petition filed for H-1B. So I think that brings to the next section, and I think we kind of touched upon cap exempt versus non-exempt, and I think the scale is kind of tight right now. There is no leniency. It's any employer who gonna file for an H-1B. But there was one section in the proclamation which kind of focuses on foreign talent brought in the country, right? And how H-1B being used for foreign talent. rather than using or utilizing American workers, right? So, how does it play out for international students? Let's say if John Doe is an international student and he or she is pursuing their master's or PhD in the country already, and soon, probably let's say next year, they would be in a position to work after graduating, and then H-1B is one of the routes a lot of people go for. So, would they be considered in the same bucket as foreign talent, or how would that play out?
That's a great question. And so for these international students, let's just take a step back and break it down step by step. So international students who are applying for their F1, as of right now, as of today, this $100,000 fee will not be applied to individuals or immigrants who are applying for student visas. Now, of course, I know that there is some kind of questions and a lot of questions about, well, I'm on an F1 and what about OPT? Am I changing my status? Is it going to apply? Is it a new petition? What's going on there? But I want your viewers to remember, so the student visa, the F1, these individuals who have F1 status, they're not allowed to work. Right? They come to America, they're going to study their bachelor's, their master's, their PhDs, and they're supposed to come with enough finances or have enough finances each year to cover their tuition, room and board, any type of living expenses they may have, and they may accrue while they are studying and pursuing their degree. Now, for students, there comes a time after their degree is finished that they can now have OPT. So applying for OPT is not changing your status. You're simply adding work authorization to what this current status you hold, which is the student visa. So
Right.
when you're adding up and applying for your OPT, which is to get your employment authorization document, there is no fee as of right now that's going to be included, additional fee that's going to be included other than the filing fee for the I-765. Now, so for the people who are coming in, so long as you're applying for a separate visa, not an H-1B, let's say you're applying for a J-1 or
Mm.
you're applying for an O-1 or an E-3, EB-1A. As of right now, there's no additional $100,000 fee that's going to be applied to those particular visa categories. Right now, it's only for individuals and immigrants who are applying for the H-1B visa.
Right. So even transitioning from OPT, based on what you just told us, to H1 will have to go through this 100,000 fees
We
because
are anticipating that because if you read the proclamation, it says for all new petitions.
yeah,
And so to apply now from an F1 where you're changing your status to now an H1B, we're anticipating that even those individuals who are changing from F to H1B will have to apply this $100,000 fee because it is a new petition they're going to be filing.
right. And I think this could impact, like again, this is an hypothetical question, right? A lot of things are still not clarified and still are being worked on probably. So because when we as international students, when I came back like 13 years ago,
Mhm.
a lot of was on my mind, like, okay, what it be after my complete my masters, or like if I get a job, what is the visa? And I think at that time that much information was also not available. We kind of were depending on our DSOs, universities to get these information. But these days, I think because of the internet, a lot of this is flares out pretty quickly. So,
Yes.
do you think that would also affect a lot of influx of international students coming into United States? Because now this kind of is there that you might have to pay this, the employer might have to pay this fees, which could be more than the salary they might
Yeah.
get after
Yeah.
graduating, right? So how do you think that would pan out?
I think that we can expect there will be some changes in certainly the number of individuals who are looking for an F1. And as you astutely mentioned earlier, people often go from an F1 to an H-1B, because eventually there is a path where they can go down to obtain their green card. And so, just thinking about this one little area now where there's this fee $100,000. And as you rightly said, it could even be more than a starting salary for someone who is now starting their professional career with their on their H-1B status as their dream job. And so we can anticipate there'll be some ripple effects with how many people come in. But I do think that some people may also just now start looking at other visa options
Mm.
if they are qualified, if they have been working toward those particular categories, which would also provide some other pathways as well for them.
Right. That's a really good point because I think now you have to diversify your options and then also think about what exactly you want to do after coming here. Because if you're just coming for studies, I think you're fine because you can get an F1 and a J1 for in training, and then but if you want to really work, you have to have a plan now, a concrete plan of how you want to pursue this. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that kind of leads to the other segment where we want to talk about people who are already on H-1B, who already have an active H-1B petition connected to them. So let's say if they're going for stamping or they're going for renewals, right? If they're going for renewals, I think renewals are handled by USCIS within the country, but
Correct.
stamping would be done in your home country now.
Correct.
And a lot of us have this question that when you get stamped a new visa on your passport, and when you come back, it's kind of deemed as a new entry into the country. So, how would that play out? Would there be any potential things that we should be aware about in terms of these fees, or you think that should not be a problem because USCIS has kind of cleared a bit on it?
So this area is still developing, to be frank. And I think people should really think about whether they're going to be changing their employer or whether they're going to stick with the employer they're currently with. And so as of how we're reading it, and we're reading it rather conservatively, if you are going to be extending your status with your current H-1B, you're now filing for an extension or a renewal, let's use the word you use, a renewal, that there won't be a fee attached if you are staying with your current employer. However, if you're going to be changing employers, we can anticipate that there will be a fee required, the additional $100,000 fee that will be required for that if you're changing employers, because now you are filing a new petition, which aligns with both the proclamations verbiage and also the memorandum which USCIS issued as well.
Right. So to just clarify for the audience, let's say someone is working for company A and now they want to move to company B, that transfer of H-1B will be considered as a new petition. So that could come with the fees. Again, this is a developing thing, but uh,
That's what we are anticipating how it's going to play out when these petitions actually start being processed and filed with USCIS.
right, right. And I think that kind of leads to the final section of this video where we want to touch upon some updates that Proclamation also touched upon that, well, and I'm reading it from the page so that I don't mess my question up. How does this all align with the prevailing wage hike? Because there is also this question that has been coming up, and I think the current administration is trying to say that, well, the minimum wage for H-1B should be higher. It should not be, there should be certain number that should be associated with it. So how do you think that would play out with this 100,000 fee hike and then all the other constraints that are coming into place?
Perfect question. And I think we're going to really see this play out with many companies, because if the government now wants to focus on higher paying jobs that have like level 4, that's the highest you can get. And the minimum salary around the level 4, depending on the job, is around $160,000. And so now if an employer has to pay this prospective employee, the employee of their dream, $160,000 minimum for their salary, and the filing fees as well, including this $100,000 fee, now that this starts to add up. And so, how the government is going to do the prevailing wage. So, just to make sure our viewers understand, they're going to, those individuals that have the higher level for their salary, they're going to get like 4 tickets for the lottery. And then someone that has a level three, they'll get three tickets and so forth and so on. So we'll see this ultimately with individuals who qualify for the higher salary will have more chances of being chosen or selected in the lottery. But this also does pose a great question for employers. How are they actually going to afford these fees, and which are going to start tallying up? If you, for example, need 10 employees, and all 10 employees are level four employees and with their salary, and all four of them require brand new petitions, as you can see by the basic math, it starts to add up. And so I think we'll see a ripple effect with this as well. But again, it's a developing scenario. And so we're waiting for ultimate changes or final changes to be announced, where we can actually see how it will play out with employers and not and immigrants as they are applying for this particular visa.
Right. And I think that kind of takes me to two associated questions here. Uh, One is, could this lead to a increase in the layoffs? Because recently, I think the past year, continuing into this year, I think we have been seeing a lot of layoffs happening in tech and other industries. I think it's kind of happening because there is a turnover in the economy, there's some kind of inflation going on, so people are trying to budget money. So, and with this hike in the fees, and I was looking at some numbers, like even in the United States, Amazon has a lot of H-1B workers, right? Following by Meta and other big tech companies. They have a lot of applicants. And let's say if they want to now hire new talent, which let's say they find only outside of United States, that, as you said, just start piling up the fees, right? So how would this play out with the people that they currently have in the company? Would that affect or kind of go into this layoff structure again, or do you think that would be possible with this?
It's certainly a possibility, because companies are going to, want to look at their bottom line, and, if they can continue to afford, or how can they continue to afford bringing in new talents and fresh talents, whether it's a person just completed OPT, or it's someone is coming from abroad who's had international work experience. And so these companies are going to think about that. And so we can anticipate that there could also be layoffs at companies if they can't bring in and afford, the additional filing fee for each new petition that's going to be filed.
Right. And I think the second associated question is, when this all happened on 9/19,
Mhm.
I think that's an important date now to
Yes,
remember.
yes.
So I think all of us who were kind of tensed, we were going through these LinkedIn posts of attorneys trying to understand what's happening, what's the breakdown. And some of the key ideas that we could see is that there could be some legal challenges against the proclamation, like the fees hike, and maybe is this a justified fees. So, as an attorney, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think there would be some legal battles on this, or any kind of challenges that the proclamation would have in the future?
I think that's a fair assessment and a fair expectation to have, because as we've been discussing, it's going to impact and affect quite a few people, not just the non-immigrants, not just the immigrants, but also those employers, large companies, especially the startups. And so I think we can really expect to see several challenges that are going to be filed against this proclamation, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think that's something that we should all be prepared for some legal challenges.
Right. And I think to kind of coming to the end of the video, any final thoughts from your end? Because I think you must be getting a lot of calls over the weekend, coming into this week, fresh week, because people really are tensed, and they want really some thoughts, perspective, clarification on different aspects of things. I heard some stories where people paid thousands of dollars to come back, rushed back into
Right.
the country. Even it was clarified on Sunday, but people still have some doubts.
Yes.
Like they are like they
Yes.
want to be sure. So, what are your thoughts on this? Given this will be playing out only for new petitions, but still taking into account that there could be some gray areas that we don't know a lot about.
Exactly. And I think because there are so many gray areas, this is exactly why people who know someone who is holding an H-1B status or they're thinking about applying, this is not the time to go on Google or go on, different websites and mediums to try to cobble together some type of answer. And you definitely don't want to make the wrong decision or even a premature decision. Now more than ever, this is when people need to really contact experienced immigration attorneys like we have here at Manifest, who can provide them with the guidance because, as you rightfully said, things have been changing in just some 4 days. Look at how many changes happened, how many new and updated announcements were made. And so if my final thought to your viewers, if they can hear me, please speak to someone who is knowledgeable. Speak to someone who is experienced and who knows how to navigate the changing and frequently changing landscape that is immigration law for America. Don't try to do this on your own. That's
Very.
not the time for it. Yes.
Maybe this is not the chat GPT thing that you should do.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, you need someone who actually has experience.
Definitely, definitely. I completely concur with your thought. And I think this is what the message I have been giving in my post, that speak to an attorney, read the official websites, because misinformation just heaps in,
Yeah.
and once you get attracted to it, it just becomes a rabbit hole, and you might take a decision which you end up regretting later. So I think I would have the same thought, that if you're in this situation, calm down first of all, because there's a lot of developments
Yes.
happening. And
Yes.
I think, as you pointed out, there's a lot of gray areas that we have to kind of wait for them to settle down and come to a final conclusion. So I think Manifest is a great law firm. People should go and talk to the attorneys there. Avalon, you yourself, I've seen your experience. You're very well experienced. You're handling so many cases. So I think I'll put a link. People should go and talk to you and get their questions sorted by a professional immigration attorney. So thank you again, Avalon, for taking the time. I think this would really help people navigate this uh, through and then understand their course of action. So thanks again.
Perfect.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the taking the time. Thank you so much.